Hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Saturday, the 18th of January. This is my face, crikey. So I thought I'd treat you to seeing me ugly mug. Apparently, it's supposed to guarantee a few extra viewers. Well, while I'm doing this video, I'm actually moving my hands around, obviously, but I can't even see myself. So what I'll say is, apparently, this is supposed to guarantee a few extra viewers. So enjoy. So let me get into it. So obviously, like I said, they are horse racing and football selections for Saturday, the 18th of January. Well, two of them run shortly, so I'm going to get straight into those. So the first bet is a 25 pence each way, lucky 31. So I've left the prices because, to be fair, they're already stingy. So the first selection is Upepo. I've left the price. It's in the 10.15 at Lingfield, paying 5 places instead of 3. This one originally touched about 9-1, and I'd have been more than happy with that. So this horse, there's an angle with two horses. It's Upepo and I think it's called Met Office by John Butler. The both of them aren't 2 milers, and I think this is a 2 mile race. I think there'll be no pace, and I think the trainers have possibly thought that. Both of these horses normally come with a late run of about a mile and a half. Tony Carroll knows everything there is to know about the all-weather, in my opinion. Is a similar ilk to Michael Appleby. But I think he's got far less ammunition or quality ammunition than what Michael Appleby has. So I think Upepo's got a good chance. What I expect is not a fast pace. This one to be held up towards the rear, probably travelling well. You'd have thought so because it's got a mile and a half speed. Coming to the race, will it find anything for this 2 mile? I don't know. Well, they're backing it like yes, it should find something. So it's 11-2 now. I'm not advising taking the price. So the second selection, there's a bit of a time gap after this race in all the bets. And I've had loads, to be fair. I've staked far too much, but I messed up big time with the first bet because I placed it last night and already I've got two non-runners that I can do nothing about. I've contacted Skybet in the past about removing them, but they're just a pain in the backside, so I'm just letting it go. But I believe that's the last bet. The second selection is Honour Your Dreams. I've left the price in the 10.45 at Lingfield, paying 4 places instead of 3. So, Honour Your Dreams, I do expect it to be prominent. I think it's relatively well handicapped. It's got first-time combination headgear. I think it's a hood and tongue strike together for the first time. It's also got Billy Loughnane on board, and it's never normally beaten that far. So I'm thinking straight out, get towards the front, don't come back, or hope it doesn't come back. It's about 10-1. I do believe Michael Appleby is just hitting a rich vein of form now. I think Jack Morland is still a trainer to keep an eye on because he's absolutely flying still. Billy Loughnane is back. I believe he is one to really keep an eye on. I don't know if he's quite championship material yet. I know he got the odd ride for Godolphin last year. I know he's got a good stable behind him in George Bowie. So it will be right up there. It's just whether, and he's a young lad. I don't know if he's got any commitments or ties or anything like that. So he can be racing all the time. Whereas you'll see a lot of these other jockeys, and it could be said the same of him as well. A lot of these high profile jockeys are regularly going abroad sometimes on a Saturday, but mainly on a Sunday. Like they'll go to France and not always be back until the Tuesday. So yeah, so it's On Your Dreams is the second selection. The third selection is Hitman. I've left the price in the 2.15 at Ascot, paying 4 places instead of 3. I've gone for this horse not because it's well handicapped, because it's fairly competitively handicapped, but it's used to running in much better races. But it's also used to running at this trip or a tad further. I've seen a lot of these horses, and the ones that have just about won at the trip, in my opinion, they need to progress again because their handicap mark is right behind their racing post rating, which tells me, yes, they can win again, but they've got to improve at least the same again. There's so many question marks now of the fancied horses, and I kept looking, thinking, well, what truly wants this distance? Well, it's 2 mile 5. Some have won over 2 mile 4. And don't get me wrong, some have won over 2 mile 5 because it says D at the side of the name. But I just think there's a lot of question marks over progressive horses, but are you still progressing? So Hitman, it's about 10-1, I think. And I think it's a decent chance. And don't get me wrong, it could be Hitman could be aiming for a higher profile race at something like Cheltenham or Aintree. However, this race is worth 52 grand. So yeah, it's a prize worth winning, not just for having a school round. The fourth selection is I can't ignore this one either, and I can't believe it's the outside of the lot. There's so many question marks again in this race about horses staying the trip or horses in form or overrated horses. So I've actually gone for the outside of the lot because if you look at the form for Nicky Henderson, he's got every chance. It's dropped massively in the weights, and the horse is called Bold Endeavour at 40-1. It's in the 5 past 3 at Haydock, and they're paying four places instead of three. All I'm going to say about it is it's extremely well handicapped, and it could pop up at any time. Are they going to continue lowering the handicap and hopefully running a race at Cheltenham or Aintree? I don't know. Maybe that's the angle. But this horse it's the best horse in the race. Don't get wrong. Excuse me. Don't get wrong. It's not in good form, but it can pop up at any time, especially in this race where there are so many question marks over the others. So this horse is a horse I like quite a lot. So it's Black Smoke at 16-1 in the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton, paying 4 places instead of 3. I know. So when there's a silence, you now know what I'm doing. And I'm not vaping, by the way. Enough said about that. I wish him the very best of luck, by the way. Black Smoke. So it's been set up and tripped to 2 mile. It looks like it's crying out for 2 mile because all it seems to do is stay on over 1 mile 6, and that's all I can say about it. It's got Mason Patel on board, taking 7 off. Decent jockey. He had the 66-1 horse that lost by a nose for me, if you remember, Crafter. That should never been 66-1. I'm not claiming some kind of wonder wafter, if that's what you call it, miracle worker. The 66-1 it was 8-1. Should have never been more than 10s, but I'll take it. So Black Smoke, I've took the price in this bet, but I've left it in the other bet. So that's the first bet, and then to empty my account, I had a 20 pence each way, fivefold. It's unlikely to come in. So those horses are the more fancied horses that I've gone for, just with Bold Endeavour, fingers crossed. So I've gone for 8 pence each way, lucky 63. This bet is, I think there's a couple of fancied horses and some huge prize horses. So I saw you comment earlier on. I can't remember if your name's Kevin Stead or Kevin Mark. There's 2 of you, or Kevin Mack. If you're putting your free bet each way on the biggest price, it's a second selection. I don't know. I don't know if you should really do that, but anyway, I'll leave it with you. So yeah, as I said, it's at 8 pence each way. Lucky 63. The first selection is 999. I've left the price because it's the outside of the lot and it could be much bigger. It's in the 12-10 at Haydock, paying 3 places instead of 3. This horse, realistically, for those people that look at like pound for pound, it can't win. Why? Because it's ran behind one of these horses and been well beaten in the past. However, there are a number of horses in this race that like to make the pace. Could they take each other on? Yes. Are they guaranteed to take each other on? No. They could quite easily let one of the front runners dictate the pace, and it could be a slow pace. However, a number of horses want to make the run-in. This horse is not really in fantastic form. However, if the pace collapses, this horse is one of those horses that sits at the back watching them take each other on, and it could sneak into the race. For those of you that might have backed my 40-1 winner, and guess what and all? Is his name Grumpy Old Man? Something like that. Hi, if you're watching, because I know you do occasionally watch the video. You missed me 40-1. You said nobody had a really big winner. My first one won at 40s other Saturday. But anyway, we digress. So 999 should be sat at the back and come with a late run. The second selection is Lioness Dancer at 100-1. I've took the price because you can see in the green rosette at the side of it. The reason why is because I get best odds guarantee because it was placed after 9 o'clock. This horse, I'm hoping really, because it's a similar ilk as the horse which was won at 40-1 for me last time, which was one of those horses that has got a much higher handicap rating and been ignored. There's an awful lot of horses in this race that have once again never been over hurdles, and I shall give you my stance on that. You can get some very good pointers, like and some very good National Hunt flat horses that win first time over hurdles, but there's an awful lot that tire with 3 to go when the first time over hurdles from point to point or the National Hunt flat scene. So that's why I always go for, or normally go for, horses with experience, even though the experience might be limited when it comes to ability. So this horse, I think it ran to a racing post racing of 87. If the point to point horses and the National Hunt flat horses run to what the trainers believe their ability would be, this horse has got no chance. But many of them are having a season debut. They could be blowing up with 3 to go, and this horse could be snuck into the race. Or ultimately, this horse, Lioness Dancer, could be just having a day out in a much better race because it's after a handicap mark. I don't know, but 100 to 1, I'll take the chance. Third selection is Seize the Day at 25 to 1, best odds guaranteed, in the 130 at Taunton. Exactly the same reasoning. A big price, too big a price to ignore. And I always keep an eye on Fergal O'Brien's horses when he's got several in the race, because it doesn't always mean the lowest price horse is going to run the best, especially these National Hunt flat races, and that happened the other day as well. The fourth selection is one I'm interested in. I ought to include it in the other bet, but I didn't. Hwages SP in the 430 at Wolverhampton, paying 4 places instead of 3. It's currently 12s because I think there's been a couple of non-runners. I think it were about 20s at one point. This horse, I believe, ran in this race last year, 15th of January last year, and it comes second. So I think this horse, by Tony Carroll, could run a good race. 12 to 1, decent price. Charancy at SP in the 530 at Wolverhampton, paying 4 places instead of 3. I think this one's Ian Williams and Joe Levy. I'm also a big fan of Joe Levy claiming 3. It is. And Ian Williams, I'm a big fan of his stable. If there's big prize money, which there isn't in this race, it's pennies. Well, they class it as pennies. I just think it could pop up at any time. It's relatively well handicapped. And once again, you've seen the horse. It's Black Smoke. I've left the price this time because it could be any price. Could be 6 to 1 by the time we come to it. In the 6 o'clock at Wolverhampton, paying 4 places instead of 3. And finally, the bet I put on last night, my main bet of the day, but now it's beginning to look ridiculous. Starts off with 2 non-runners. So I won't be replacing them. So it's a 10p each way Super Hines, but now really it's a 10p each way. What is it? Lucky 31, whatever it is. First selection is also messed up because originally it was 11 to 2. I thought I'll leave the price because it could drift. It's now 11 to 4. And the reason I've gone for it is because I do believe it's got experience over hurdles, whereas the fancied horses haven't. And that horse is Stone's Throw in the 12.55 at Taunton. The next selection is Leading Choice in the 120 at Haydock, paying 4 places instead of 3. Can't remember why I picked that one, to be honest, but if you fancy it, if you are going to back it, take a look at it. Oh, I'll tell you why I backed it, because it's quite rare now that Harry Skelton, because he's got that many rides for his brother, rides for another stable. This horse, I do believe, was 20s. I think it's 11s now. I think it's got a chance, and it's normally held up slightly off the pace. Well, we all know what Harry Skelton's like, holding horses up. Many a time he holds them up for his brother, and they come there tanking to the race. I'm not saying that this horse will do that, but hopefully it will. So this horse, very interesting. Talking to the Moon at SP in the 5 past 2 at Taunton, paying 4 places instead of 3. Excuse me. You know when it goes quiet, you can see what I'm doing now. So it's like, hold on. It's not ran for about 600 odd days. I find it quite interesting the fact that they've stuck with it. Sorry, and also when it was last seen, it was over a much shorter trip. I do find it very interesting that on its reappearance, they've stepped it massively up in distance. I'm not even sure if it's gone from hurdles to fences, but I was looking at the breaker to dad, which is 600 odd days. Does it say here? No. I was looking to see. Sorry, forget that. I was interested by how many days it had off, because quite recently, and more often, I'm seeing horses from huge absences run very well, and blow up, or actually win. I know Mark Johnson had one. Charlie Johnson had one. Was it called Quasies, something like that? About a year ago now, I think it was. And it won at something like Doncaster or Haydock after something like 400 days off. This horse it's got an interesting angle. First run after a big reappearance, big gap reappearance, and stepped up and tripped. Ben Godfrey takes a ride. He's currently on loan from AC Milan. No, he's not really. Next selection is Hitman. You know all about this one. 2:15 at Ascot, paying 4 places instead of 3. Decent horse in a dodgy race, in my opinion. Bold Endeavour, you know all about this one. In the 5 past 3 at Haydock, paying 4 places instead of 3. So Bold Endeavour, like I said, it's a dodgy race. If it runs one of its better races, it's got every chance of getting a place. Crikey, that's it. I say that's it. That's about 50 quid's worth by mistake. I haven't put the football bet on yet, so come back about 11 o'clock for the football bet. I don't know whether I'm gonna eat my Ben and Jerry's. How unhealthy is this? But I've treated myself. I've had a Ben and Jerry's while I'm picking the horses. I've had about 2 scoops. It's 9:44 as we speak. Half an hour to the first race. So I should probably doing all the videos like this now. Let's see if I get more views. But yeah, I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.